Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about this evening, and it's really interesting. MSNBC has a pretty hilarious article actually stating, well, what's the big deal that I cannot do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. So, to my super chat, thank you so very much. I can't do this without you. Thank you. If you have anything to say regarding the Durham probe or we're going to talk about the upcoming, the mini crash yesterday, which they view as a correction, but is really the beginning of a really, really bad downturn and eventual crash in the market. We'll talk about all of that. If you want to give me your thoughts via Super Chat, that's the only way I can do these segments. Thank you. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you so very much for being amazing moderators. Let's get this show on the road. Durham Sussmann indictment is a bizarre coda for DOJ's Russia investigation. The Mueller report spells out all the ways, and this is the MSNBC article. We have to read this now because it's really hilarious. The Mueller report spells out all the ways in which the Russia investigation was not a hoax. Why would a report need to spell out all the ways something was not a hoax? That makes no sense when everybody knows that if you didn't indict or charge Trump for endless accusations, if you didn't indict or charge President Trump, the whole point is that he wasn't charged. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. He was not charged. If you didn't indict or charge Trump, and hit subscribe to this channel right now, hit subscribe also to the stock market crash channel. I named that channel before yesterday, on September 9th. And we're seeing that I predicted pretty much everything that's taking place. And I'm telling you it's going to get much worse. So I predicted what happened yesterday, and I'm telling you it's going to get much, much worse. We'll get to that in a second. But go to the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll give you the link below in the chat. And by the way, if you type in stock market crash on YouTube, you'll get consistently, you will get my segments on the stock market crash channel. It's pretty cool. So definitely subscribe there, subscribe here as well. We're over 184,000 subs because of you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. But here's the issue. The Mueller report is simply a compilation of pages that explain that Trump was not indicted. But you better believe it was really, really serious that we tormented him for 4 years. Or 2.5 years. Or when they started the investigation in 2015. You better believe it was really important. And so that's the whole point behind... That is the whole point behind the Mueller report. It was not used in a court of law to charge anyone for working alongside Russia, for interfering in 2016. Then they say, oh my God, how dare you with the Arizona recount and these recounts. Oh, our democracy. These people are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. They spent 4 years saying that Trump was an illegitimate president, and then if you say that about their candidate, oh my God, you're a horrible human being. I mean, the level of hypocrisy, the level of deceit, the narcissism that you would need to then say, oh, the big lie, the original big lie was Trump and Russia. He never worked with Russia. Facebook ads didn't even influence one person. You'd have to have no brain cells left in your brain after 4 or 5 years of CNN and MSNBC to believe that that our intelligence agencies couldn't find one shred of evidence to link in court Trump with a Russian operative. No email, no photo, no meeting, no nothing. So they used a dossier because they need to make things up. That's the point. They make things up. They have to fabricate a story that isn't true. They have to fabricate. They have to fabricate a story. That's why they obsess over the latest books on Trump. Like, they are so hard up they're so desperate for anything bad about Trump. They're so utterly desperate that they need a book from Bob Woodward, and they're going to report on every page. Do you understand? If it's a 400-page book, there will be 400 days where they report on every page. Every single page will be reported on. Okay? Every single page. And you have to understand the mentality of people who obsess over Trump. They don't have, they're not going to pass a Medicare for all bill. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency. They're not going to pass Medicare for all or a Green New Deal legislation because everything they claim to care about is a lie. The Roz, hello. They're not going to pass the legislation. They're not going to end the filibuster, pack the courts. They're not going to do anything that they say. Because they need a fabricated piece of gossip. If they can get some gossip. So the Steele dossier was gossip and hearsay and a fantasy. And that's why it's important when you have lawyers for a DC law firm that's linked to the Clintons and an attorney working for the Clintons passing information to the FBI. Maybe, just maybe, the people at the Bureau shouldn't have listened. Maybe there was an ulterior motive. The most hilarious, the suspension of logic. You suspend logic into thinking, so there are, brilliant people, very smart people, who think that Trump could have worked with Russia. The suspension of logic that allows people to think that Comey and James Comey and Peter Strzok and Andrew McCabe and John Brennan and James Clapper, all of these people were apolitical. They didn't have a political motive. So Mueller report spells out all the ways in which the Russia investigation was not a hoax. The fact that he wasn't charged proves it's a hoax. People were reporting on innuendo, gossip, hearsay, conjecture, everything that's baseless. Anything baseless against Hunter Biden when today with Politico we find out, or they're reporting that, oh yeah, his laptop is genuine. Well, we knew that. We already knew that his laptop almost certainly was genuine. But Trump didn't have to make up Hunter going to a store in a drunken stupor and dropping the laptop off. He did that all himself. See, you don't have to make things up with Democrats. They have to literally fabricate things about Trump. They have nothing left. They spent 4 years saying he was a Russian operative. Then they couldn't charge him or anyone else for being a Russian operative or a conduit. And they're still salivating, they get this Pavlovian response. Talk about xenophobia. When they hear anything about Russia, it's this Pavlovian response. And it's I'll continue reading, but I can go on forever. The Mueller report was another way to save face after they were trying to save face. So they had egg on their face when Trump defeated Clinton, which I said was going to happen. Then they had egg on their face when Mueller found nothing. Then they had egg on their face when they were blindsided by the global health crisis, but then they used that to their advantage in many ways, to the detriment of our country, at the expense of our economy. I talk about that in the Stock Market Crash channel, and I've spoken about that endlessly on this channel. You cannot prevent people from working for a year and keep them in their homes and expect an economy to rebound in a normal manner. Okay, we'll get to that a little later. But here, the Mueller report spells out all the ways. Yeah, right. The only hoax is the charge contained in this indictment. So we've come. This is what's happening. They don't play by the same rules. So when George Papadopoulos and Roger Stone and Michael Flynn are charged with lying to the FBI or lying to Congress, what they lied about has nothing to do with any possible indictment for Trump working with Russia, because nobody was ever indicted on that, and there was no intelligence that warranted an investigation of that, and yet they harped on that absurd myth for 4 years. They said that he was an illegitimate president because he was the favorite of Russia. And we don't know any. The only reason that the intel agencies got away with this is because they said, well, we're highly to moderately confident. We're highly to moderately confident. We're not certain, but who cares about accuracy? We can make baseless claims because we have the word intelligence before our name. We're a community, and just put intelligence before the community, and then people will listen to us. Even though we were wrong about the Bay of Pigs, the Gulf of Tonkin, WMD, pretty much everything. Facebook ads, pretty much everything. But here, this is from MSNBC. Special Counsel John Durham was tasked with investigating the origins of FBI's Russia investigation. He now appears to have ended his work with not with a bang, but with a whimper. Why would anyone believe that his work has ended? It could end this week. I don't know. But why would anyone assume that a special counsel without an end date is ending? We still have, according to Richard Grenell and Devin Nunes, more indictments. So according to Richard Grenell and Devin Nunes, more indictments. Why on earth would they assume that it's ending? Because they want it to end. Because this was the second indictment, and they're not getting any indictments on Trump. Okay, they've basically, like with Afghanistan, with 13 Americans who lost their lives directly because of Biden, and he spoke to the UN today. I mean, those 13 Americans should be alive. We should have started evacuating in January, February, March, April, and been out. We should have been out by May 1st. And so we should have been out by May 1st. Why you would prolong our stay there just to spite Trump and create this this environment where you use we'll call them the T-band for security? I mean, you would have to be living in an alternate universe to trust the T-band, because they're not, there's also ISK, and there's also AQ, and there's also other organizations. So why would you give lists of American names? Because it was so, rushed and irresponsible. It wasn't thought out. And they just said, what can we do that's different from what the Doha Agreement stated? So they left $28 billion plus in weaponry. And we still have Americans left behind. And we have legal residents in the thousands left behind. So, and all of this took place because Biden did not want to abide by the Doha Agreement and give Trump a political victory. So he arbitrarily picked a time after May 1st, and then there were then you had the T-Ban saying, okay, there are going to be repercussions. We already knew if you go past May 1st, it's a whole new ballgame. And it's a treacherous one at that. The Roz Rodriguez, thank you so very much. The Roz Rodriguez, thank you. So kind of you, the Roz Rodriguez. I hope all is well and I hope you're doing great. The Roz Rodriguez, thank you. I hope all is well. Thank you so very, very much. You are amazing. Thank you so very much. The Roz Rodriguez, thank you. Greatly appreciated. I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen, so greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you. So, the Roz Rodriguez, everybody here, he spoke to the General Assembly today. Roz and everybody here, he spoke to the General Assembly today, the UN. Everybody at the UN knows this man is not to be trusted, number one, but we already showed the world that we, as a country, negotiated a deal. So Trump negotiated the Doha Agreement. It was agreed upon by the Taliban and the Afghan government. It said May 1st we needed to be out, which meant that when he became president, Biden should have started the evacuation. He didn't do so. Everyone saw that. The entire world saw that. And everyone saw the heart-wrenching images and the fact that we lost 13 Americans and the fact that 169 Afghans were also lost and their lives were lost. And notice how wonderful, compassionate, empathetic Democrats don't bring up the tremendous loss of life. They don't care anymore. They're still focused on January and Bob Woodward's book and everything that has nothing to do directly with Trump. The FBI nobody charged Trump for January, for Russia collusion, for pressuring Zelensky. They were even talking about indicting him for the global health crisis. Then they're saying that his tax returns would lead to indictment of Trump. And it's like the only reason Clinton wasn't indicted is because James Comey said she didn't intentionally have servers with top secret intelligence on them. But Trump didn't have servers. They then obsessed over the Alpha Bank thing, which wasn't a back channel communication. They were writing this spy novel for 4 years, and they believed it because they believe anything. They believe Trump is capable of anything. The Roz Rodriguez, thank you. So they believe Trump is capable of anything, so they'll just make up anything. Any lie will do with people who just have it in for Trump. They don't like him. Meanwhile, we have a stock market crash that basically the beginning of took place yesterday. At one point, 921 points down. Okay? And in this market, it's not going to be difficult to get, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 points down in one day. Or 6,000 points, which would be around 20%. 6,000 plus. I mean, you could get even more than that. The economy is in the tank. And the only thing when they say, it's a heated up economy, that's because we had no economy last year because Democrats wanted to keep us safe. So they forced people, they prevented people from working. You can't prevent people from working and then preside over the worst outcomes. The most draconian policies. When will the people learn around the world the most draconian policies lead to the worst outcomes? And then there's this element of, this is why we live in, this is one of the reasons to subscribe to this channel. I'm not trying to plug the channel, but it's one of the reasons to subscribe to this channel and to subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. We live in a world where CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, and Jimmy Kimmel and social media algorithms and late night. This is what politics is about for the left of any country, not just our country. An expert consensus of people who just happen to agree with Democratic politicians. If there's a consensus of experts that agree with Republicans, forget about that. It's not a consensus. It's just a bunch of, people outside of the mainstream. They worship expert consensus, and it has run this country into the ground. We have the Fed pumping through quantitative easing $1 out of every $5 into the economy. And the market is petrified if Powell decides to engage in tapering. Fed tapering means when they stop buying the bonds and stop injecting liquidity and money into the economy. So the only thing, the stock market right now is like a balloon that they've just, the air inside is the Federal Reserve money and corporate profits, where people are, the psychological component is that people were forced to stay home. And when they were able to get out of their homes, they then, when they were able to leave their homes, they then were willing to spend more, pay more on higher prices. Valerie Rogers, what's going on with Kiesler? Oh man, why? You know what? I'm so not good I'm so not good at this. Okay, so it can't be backwards, is it? Hold on one second. Oh, sorry. I don't know exactly what you're referring to. But I don't know. You know what? It could be used for refugees. I'm not exactly sure. So, Valerie, I'm watching. I'm typing it in right now. I was like, I'm typing it in right now. I think it could be used. Growing indications Kiesler Air Force Base could house Afghan refugees soon. So this is a Biloxi. It's like 13 article. That's what I'm getting. Valerie, thank you. So, Biloxi, Mississippi. So it could be a place to house, people from Afghanistan. Valerie, thank you. So we're heading towards a serious stock market collapse. Hedge funds going under. Banks possibly being bailed out because we don't know how much debt is in the system. We don't know how much debt was used to purchase risky derivatives that already caused one hedge fund to already collapse. So we don't know. Jeffrey, hello. We don't know the extent. But see, again, that's just it's one crisis after another. And media has toned down the emotion. And that's like media runs off of emotion and these absurd moral equivalencies and these absurd leaps of logic. But let's continue here. It's hard to see how the case Durham filed on Thursday against Washington lawyer Michael Sussmann meets Justice Department standards. It actually meets more of the standards than indicting George Papadopoulos because of an email that he couldn't remember to a professor from Gilligan's Island, this mysterious professor that apparently none of these people, from Alexander Downer to Joseph Mifsud, they never testified before Congress. These are like key individuals within this absurd charade and hoax and myth of Trump Russia. Why weren't they sent before Congress? Like George Papadopoulos was speaking to an Australian diplomat who then contacted the FBI. And then he was a person of interest because of somebody's hearsay and gossip. Why would anyone... Do you think if this diplomat said, oh yeah, by the way, spoke to Hunter, and I think you should investigate him, you think that they would go, okay, let's investigate him? No, not at all. Not at all. Oh my lord. Serious? Little spider. Sorry. Sorry. Do you think that they would... As another spider. You were right, Eric. So anyway. They wouldn't investigate, like, a lot of these things. Ronald, hello. A lot of these investigations were started only because Trump was associated with the person. That's it. Like, this is what they can't come to terms with. You have these MSNBC articles. They can't come to terms with the fact that these intelligence operatives were... Okay, you had Andrew McCabe fired from the FBI. Peter Strzok not only fired from the FBI, but also kicked off of the Mueller probe. And so the IG, when he said, well, we couldn't find any documentary or testimonial bias. Well, yeah, there's no one's going to write, yeah, we can't stand Trump. Actually, they did. They did write, they did write that. Strzok did, we'll stop Trump. And Kevin Kleinsmith and a whole bunch of others said, oh, yeah. One of them even went to the great lengths of talking about, I don't know, Second Amendment issues. We'll just leave it at that. At the end of the day, the left loves the Second Amendment, just if it suits them. Just if it suits them. Just like for freedom of speech, just if it suits them. But here, the indictment alleges that Sussmann met with FBI General Counsel Jim Baker in September 16th, in September 2016, to provide information about connections between a Russian bank and the Trump organization. Number one, if there was anything to do with cybersecurity or connections between a Russian bank through a server, you would have the intel agencies give data. You would have these agencies coordinate with one another. You wouldn't need an attorney from a law firm linked to the Clintons. It's not. You wouldn't have an attorney saying, "Oh, by the way, I have this dossier. We actually purchased it. We actually bought it through Fusion GPS. We have a dossier that was purchased." You wouldn't have that, right? Luke, hello. And like, the FBI was unable to substantiate any links between Alpha Bank and former President Donald Trump's business, but the charge against Sussmann making false statements to the FBI doesn't allege that the substance of the information was false. The substance of the information was false. It was false. Instead, Sussmann is accused of having misrepresented on whose behalf he was providing it. Yeah, because the Clintons wanted to set him up. How hard is that? Okay? God, it's so not difficult. It's so easy. I find this all somewhat amusing, but if you took it very seriously, it would be like psychologically traumatizing. How difficult is it to understand that they're doing this to get Trump? So having an attorney not tell the Bureau that he's actually working for the Clintons is a big deal. Because they're his direct political rival. Remember, you heard this, a direct political rival. Oh, he pressures Zelensky. A direct political rival. Direct political rival. Direct political. Oh, that's all they do. They have every single conceivable advantage, and they still complain. It's pretty unbelievable. They have every advantage possible, and they still complain. And so, it's like they don't get the conflicts of interest because there are no conflicts of interest to them. To them, look, there's no such thing as a conflict of interest. Do you understand? Raz Rodriguez, thank you again. As always, thank you. There's no such thing as a conflict of interest. Okay? It doesn't exist. A conflict of interest does not exist to them. All right? This is it's kind of amusing. It's I don't know why I'm enjoying this part so much. They can't imagine that their fever dreams and their absurd nonsense would be fueled by tremendous conflicts of interest. They can't imagine that. Susan, thank you. They can't imagine that. They can't believe that Peter Strzok, who said, we'll stop Trump. No, honey, we'll stop Trump. He's not gonna, and then his lover. Oh my God, they used the word mistress once. Oh my God, it was the end of the world. It was the end of the world. Okay? It was like they would have rather have a nuclear confrontation with, oh my God. Oh my God. They once used the word mistress, and oh my God. It was like this. So they changed it to lover. Peter Strzok's lover. So the lover of one of the agents, who was also an attorney, said, honey, he's not gonna, what was it? He's not gonna become president, right? Right? No. We'll stop it. We'll stop it, honey. We'll stop him. We'll stop that from happening, baby. Okay, hold on one second. Let's see. So, hold on one second. The Will Stop It text. This is Vox. The Will Stop It text explained. Why Peter Strzok sent stating Will Stop It. Okay, so... so... they don't... They can't even acknowledge it. They can't even acknowledge it. Because even when they're actually given information, that says, oh, these agents were talking about how they will stop Trump. Okay? Still, they're like, oh, well, It doesn't. They're allowed to have their own viewpoints. It's like, are you kidding me? They wanted William Barr to like resign every day he was, We'll stop Trump from becoming president. This is CNBC. What more do you need? What more do you need? You have an agent at the FBI saying, we'll stop Trump. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? Page also worked for Mueller's staff. No, Strzok texted back. No, he won't. We'll stop it. But that's what happens. Don't you get it? When you take one for the team and you try to help out, Democrats, it never works out. This attorney never works out. Strzok never works out. Andrew Cuomo, they took Miami away. Oh my God. It never works out. They got the Juicy Smollett treatment. Nothing good comes from selling your soul. Nothing good comes from it. Okay? Nothing. You try to help the Clintons, do a solid. Oh yeah, we'll help you set up Trump. Just give me a dossier. I'm an attorney. I'll give it to my contact at the FBI. What could go wrong? Oopsie. The Durham probe. And they're like, that's all you got? Only 2 indictments? Oh, we have 10. It's like, well, yeah, you had the entire bureau and all of media, and you had every single apoplectic, morally superior liberal touching themselves in ecstasy, trying desperately to find connections that don't exist. It was like the scene from A Beautiful Mind where he's in the little shack, and there's all these weird drawings, and they were trying desperately to find some link, but they couldn't find anything at the end of the day. So now they're relegated to news reports. Bob Woodward is he must have made a pact with the devil, because everything he writes is reported on endlessly. There's no backing or sourcing or anything like that. You have no clue if he's telling the truth. And it's just gossip and hearsay. God forbid he writes a story about Hunter. It would never happen. Do you understand? It would never happen. So, it's like, they keep on what they keep on trying to do is focus on things like they'll fabricate a story. They'll ask a question. Media will run with it. Could he have worked with Russia? We don't know. We don't even know. We don't know. We don't know. We have to investigate. Yeah. You know what? And then endlessly, because they despise Trump. They despise him. I keep telling people this. You could have Halley's Comet, like it's supposed to come around once every 20 years, whatever. Make a U-turn, and head towards Earth like tomorrow. It could make a U-turn, and head towards Earth, and when it collides with the planet, life will cease to exist. You could have Halley's Comet about to collide with planet Earth. You could have ICBMs descending upon, the country, God forbid, because of mashed potato brain and bumbling Blinken and his highly educated, extremely polished bunch of imbeciles and buffoons messing things up as always. So you can have nuclear annihilation, cosmic catastrophe that ends life, and a homeless person could take a gigantic dump on your car as you're driving, just jumping on it, and your windshield wiper could be going. I mean, everything. A boulder could then fall on the hood of your car. I mean, everything could be like that. And then what they would say is, at least we don't have Trump. That's what they would say. They don't care about anything else. Do you understand? It's like they're obsessed. They're obsessed with him. They can't stand Trump. You think I don't dislike the Clintons? I just know that they get away with endless crimes. Okay, servers with top secret intelligence. You get it. It's against the law. That's why James Comey said, well, no intent. And even to the Attorney General, told him to call it a matter, so he didn't trust the Attorney General. The whole thing was like they covered up everything. How did you transfer the top secret intelligence? That alone is endless, like an endless stream of crimes right there. How do you transfer top secret intel from secure government locations to servers? Well, they got away with it. Like they got away with everything. But Trump must be the squeakiest clean. Like, it's unbelievable. Ian Moyer. Ian Moyer, thank you. Ian Moyer, thank you. That's what they're all about, Ian. Thank you as always, Ian. So kind of you. That's what they're all about. That's all they care about. Ian and the Roz Rodriguez, everybody here. They don't care about anything else. Look, there's going to be a market crash. And yesterday was just a precursor. I mean, the Dow didn't rebound today, really. It doesn't matter. It could rebound. The S&P and the Dow and the NASDAQ can rebound the next couple of weeks, reach all-time highs. Powell could say, no, we're not going to start tapering. We're just going to actually, pump more money. Yes. I mean, corporate earnings could go up this week. I just think that any day from here until the next 6-7 months, there's going to be a terrible, terrible market crash. When that happens, they won't care. You'll have hedge funds go under. You have banks possibly being bailed out. It'll be terrible. They won't care. They won't care. They will say, at least it's not Trump. If a tornado and a tsunami and a monsoon and a hurricane all within 2 hours leveled their city, they would then say, at least we can rebuild without Trump. They don't care. It's like literally that's the only thing they care about. Their lives are dedicated to one thing and one thing only. Doing everything the opposite of how Trump would do, and that's why they need the experts. So if experts were to say, and Ian, thank you as always. I can't thank you enough as always. If experts were to say, another weak U.S. jobs report may be ahead, JPM data suggests. Well, how do we have, exactly, Christina, how do we have a labor shortage? This is how they get away. They get away with everything because it's so bad that you just scratch your head and you're like, what? What are you talking about? They're like, there's nothing to worry about because, look, we have a labor shortage, but we made up for it with higher jobless claims. So, but everything other than that looks really good. Really, really great. It does? What do you mean? How do you have a labor shortage? How do you have a labor shortage and jobless claims going up? Does this make any sense at all? Then you have inflation, but you have stagflation, where you have an economy that's not really growing because you have inflation at 5%. The economy, they say, is growing at 6%. So, I mean, what is it growing really at 1.5%? They don't care. What do they care? It could be Mad Max, Waterworld, Titanic. They could be like one of the people. If they were on the Titanic, the average, wonderful, morally superior liberal, if they were on the Titanic and it was like the last rowboat left them, they'd be like, it's okay, at least Trump is not in office. Diane Stewart. Hello, Asha. I'm thinking that what is going to hit the fan in the next few weeks. Your thoughts? I agree. And you can never tell in Biden's America. You can never tell how bad things can get. Because the media will always downplay everything. They'll talk about it for a couple of days. The stock market crashes. 10,000, 15, 12,000 points 10,000 points in one day. And then like 3 days later, it'll be like, but Trump. Did you know Trump purchased a golden toilet? Yes, from Putin. Putin's golden toilet. News at 5. And then they'll just try to sweep it under the rug. But yeah, I think there's going to be a market crash. Diane, thank you so very, very much. Diane Stewart, thank you as always. Ian Moyer. Ian, thank you. I think that, Diane, there's going to be what they use that word, a reckoning. That's another way of Democrats to explain things that can't be really explained. Like, well, why are there $2 billion? Why is there $2 billion in property damage around the country? For what purpose? Well, it's a reckoning. Oh, okay. But, Diane, I think that this economy is being artificially propped up by the Federal Reserve and by stimulus checks and by everything other than the economic indicators that point to a collapse sooner or later. And it's because Democrats prevented people from working. I notice I keep saying that because if you use a certain words, they don't like that. They're part of the banned words list. I don't use those words. Like if you were utilizing a key and you were going to lock the door, one of the words I just said could describe ending society as we know it. Thank you so very much, Diane. Ian, thank you. Jordan Weinberg. Jordan Weinberg, thank you. Jordan, I hope all is well. Thank you as always. Thank you, sir. Jordan, thank you so very much. Hope you're having a great evening. And, it's like, Jordan, they don't want more indictments because it points to them setting up and framing Trump. And this article at MSNBC that I'm reading here, so even if this is so great, Jordan, thank you so very much, Diane, Ian, thank you so very much as always. Then the article goes on to say, so even if Sussmann misrepresented what motivated him to bring the information to the FBI that day, Baker knew that Sussmann was aligned with Clinton. What? Baker himself was under criminal investigation, and you don't know what Baker knew, but who cares what he knew? The whole point was the Bureau was using information tied directly, and I wrote about numerous Federalist articles on this, tied directly. You can go to hagoodman.com and see the writing on the Durham probe. As I almost break my microphone. But if the FBI was going to treat information from Clinton's camp with skepticism, Sussmann had provided all the information necessary for the FBI to form that suspicion. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. The fact that he was working for the Clintons is a pretty big issue. For this reason, his alleged false statement, at worst, the equivalent of a 10-minute mile, not material to the matter at issue. Yes, it is material, especially when everything emanating... the Clintons are at the source of everything that Trump had to experience. From the Steele dossier to loyalists within the FBI and other agencies, departments. So it's like... The Mueller report, James Comey said, oh yeah, I looked into his eyes. It's like, if they don't judge people in the same manner. Exactly. Robbie D, yes, exactly. They don't judge themselves in the same manner they judge others. They don't do that. They don't do that. Nice. Jeffrey, hello. Enjoy. Nelly, hello. Everything. Oh, I know what I can do. I can write about my favorite pastime, and we'll call it a Steele dossier. Can't do it today. The Steele dossier was actually an autobiography of Bill Clinton. All they did was put Steele they had Christopher Steele rewrite Bill Clinton's autobiography. Then you got that. We live in a time where you can say this is a really bad time for politics. And you could say this is a bad time for the country, because it is. I think that, unfortunately, our country is going to experience... we'll survive and we'll prosper eventually, because we'll get out of this terrible slump. And like I say, focus on love, life, happiness, success, health, joy, laughter. Do not have your life mirror the trajectory of our country, which is descending into madness. You should focus on health and happiness, because we're going to get out of this. 2022, hopefully, will be a time where we do get out. We need a political party to oppose the Democratic Party. We don't have that. We have Mitchell McConnell, who, Conrad! At least we kicked him. We all know who. Last one. Oh, yeah. I don't know exactly, but it's funny. I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but I should know. But Conrad, thank you. It's funny. What you wrote is funny. I just can't wrap my brain around it. Conrad, thank you so very, very much. Pete Mitchell, I agree with. Dan Bongino, I agree with him. Conrad, thank you so very, very much. Conrad, thank you. Conrad, thank you so very, very much. I think that Malali too, thank you. Thank you so very much. Malali too, thank you. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Beautiful name. Malali too, thank you. Conrad, thank you as always. Conrad, Malali too. Beautiful name. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Oh, okay. Oh, Conrad, at least we kicked the Titanic at the last point. Exactly. That's right. They could be on the Titanic, and a victory for them would actually be saving Trump and allowing him to get off and sinking with the Titanic. We did it. It would be like, like the scene where like, oh, I'm king of the world. But then the whole thing would be tanking, and they would say that. Thank you, the Roz Rodriguez. Thank you so very, very much. For everybody here as well. Thank you. Malali too. Thank you, Conrad. I just got it now. I just think that at a certain point, like, you saw media actually become media for about 3 or 4 days after the tragedies in Afghanistan. And you saw that. And then it was back to cover-up mode. They can't have emotion reach a certain... And, by the way, Trump's favorability numbers are the same as Trump's favorability... Ian, hello, thank you. Trump's favorability numbers are the same as Biden. Do you know how bad you have to be? Because this is the thing. I like Trump's personality generally. Sometimes he goes a little bit too overboard. Sometimes, but I like Trump's personality. I think he's hilarious, and his personality is needed in this world. But like, you have Biden, who is propped up by all of media. And still, and that's with all of media propping up all of media propping up mashed potato brains, and still the favorability. I mean, it took less than a year for people to actually dislike Biden just as much as they dislike Trump. And you take away the insane media bias, it's like... it's like you take away that media bias, and imagine, growing up, this is actually not a very good time. I don't think this is a very good time for the country in terms of... like late night being an extension of the Democratic Party is bad for the country. Social media being an extension of the Democratic Party, media being like the Washington Post, the New York Times, every positive profile is written in the New York Times about the Democrats. Psaki, like, oh my God, Spicer was like, and like Trump's press secretaries were vilified, and Biden's is like championed. I mean, it's so, like, the double standard is so obvious. The double standard is unbelievable. The secret spaceship! The secret spaceship here. We're out here on Saturn, and we see mashed potato brains drifting into deep space. Beyond the Oort cloud. His lunacy is well known around the galaxy. Cheers, H.A. America's Sentinel. Thank you. The secret spaceship. So that's what he does. So that's what Mashed Potato Brain does when he's not reading from the teleprompter. Thank you so very, very much, The Secret Spaceship. As always, one of the great names in this channel's history. The Secret Spaceship, thank you. Thank you so very, very much. Yeah, so he was able to get through the UN speech. I have to watch more of that. But The Secret Spaceship, thank you. Malali too, thank you. Ian, Conrad, thank you so very much, as always. The Secret Spaceship, thank you. You look and it's like nobody believes Biden, and yet the entire... Oh, France withdrew its ambassador, which is hilarious, because we sold Australia nuclear sub technology, or nuclear subs. France recalls its ambassadors to the U.S. and Australia. How dare you? You're selling submarines to the Australians? France recalled its ambassador to the U.S. and Australia over new national security relationship. This extraordinary decision reflects the French Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs said, this extraordinary decision reflects the exceptional seriousness of the announcement made on September 15th by Australia and the United States. The abandonment of the Ocean-class submarine project that Australia and France had been working on since 2016, and the announcement of a new partnership with the United States aimed at studying the possibility of future cooperation on nuclear-powered submarines constitutes unacceptable behavior among allies and partners. Their consequences affect the very concept we have of our alliances, our partnerships, and importance for the Indo-Pacific, for Europe. So we've managed, like Biden, the whole, like France, Macron. Oh my God. This is like almost as good as if Trudeau was upset with Biden. Almost as good. But this is like fantastic. Because it's actually not good for the country. But you know when they were like, oh, Trump, our allies are upset with us. Well, they didn't recall an ambassador. If France recalled its ambassador. Oh my God. Why? Why did you have to do this, Mashed Potato Brains? I love Australia, but you couldn't wait a couple years? They had a deal going with France. You encroached on our nuclear submarine deal. Zut alors. Why did this have to, like, he's getting everyone upset. Lisa Lister, thank you, Lisa. Lisa Lister, as always, I hope all is well. Lisa Lister, thank you. JSpot51. Lisa Lister, so kind of you as always. I hope all is well. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Thank you so very, very much, Lisa Lister. I hope all is well. Hope you're doing great. Lisa, the French have recalled their ambassador. Biden has even managed to mess that up. They recalled their ambassador because, I mean, you have to understand, it's probably another mess up by bumbling Blinken, their Secretary of State. Bumbling Blinken looks like Don Knotts when he, like, you know, when Don Knotts is like, you know, frightened or, you know, in any of those movies, and he's like, whoo. Every time you see Blinken, it's like the Hellraiser monster is right next to him, or that he saw a ghost. They recalled their ambassador. Secret Spaceship, thank you. Lisa Lister, thank you so very, very much. They recalled their ambassador, and this never happened with Trump. With Trump, it was, our allies, we're all making fun of him. And you see that picture of, like, Trudeau and Macron and Merkel and everybody, they're all like looking at Trump like, and Lisa Lister, thank you so very much as always. Thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you. Remember that like photo? I think it was like Boris Johnson and all of them, and they were kind of like was it? It wasn't Boris Johnson. Maybe it was David Cameron. No. It couldn't have been David Cameron. So, but now who's laughing now? You mashed potato brains got the French to recall their ambassador. Fantastic. That will really help us when China wants to invade Taiwan. Wow, that will really help us. Like, China's invading Taiwan. We have to get our European allies. You know what you can do? You can take a hike. We had a weapons deal with Australia. A submarine. You stole a submarine deal. Mashed potato. So, why did he do this? But, this is also something that they're not talking about. Lisa, thank you again. The Secret Spaceship, thank you. Ian, as always, thank you. Boris Johnson has the same stylist as Trump, although Trump's actually uses a comb, and Boris Johnson, his stylist, doesn't have a comb. I think he uses the Flowbee. Remember the Flowbee? Who remembers the Flowbee? Yeah, he does use the Flowbee. If you remember the Flowbee, you are one of the great people on this channel. I want to know, who remembers the Flowbee right now? Come on. Eric H526, you're too young for this. But Luke... I want to know. The chat is... It's like molasses trying to read this. Flowbee, anyone? No? Okay. It was this machine that you would... Like this machine you would put... what was it? It was like this machine that would just cut around your head. Secret Spaceship, you remember? What a bizarre contraption. What a bizarre contraption the Flowbee was. Why would you... You would have, like... Oh, no. It wasn't. It was actual, like, a vacuum cleaner. It was like a vacuum that would... With blades. That's like almost like a horror movie thing, but... It's like a vacuum with blades that you would... People would cut their hair, I guess. I don't even know how that would work, though. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. How does the Flowbee work? One of the great scientific feats. One of the great scientific feats of our generation. Got one in the back. Yes, C. Revis. I remember the Flowbee. C. Revis. Yes. It was attached to the vacuum. C. Revis. I didn't know that. Baba Ganoush. Love Baba Ganoush. It was attached to your vacuum. Oh my God, that's right. It's actually more of an effort to use the Flowbee than to actually drive 100 miles to like Supercuts. This is so great. But also, like, it's definitely an 80s thing because you would have to have longer hair with the Flowbee. Mullets and bullets, exactly. Exactly. I read one comment in the comment section. It's pretty funny. Yeah. Now I'm wondering why I even brought it up. Oh, that's right, Boris Johnson. He definitely uses the Flowbee. His Flowbee is not working actually. He uses a broken one. He uses a broke Flowbee. I'm looking at his hair, my God. It's like if he had Trump's hairstylist, but Trump's hairstylist just like gave up that day. It's like, you know what? I'm not even going to try this hard. No. Because with Trump, he has like the wave that goes. I used to have those in the 80s growing up, the little wave. Who remembers Hairspray? I don't think do young people even use Hairspray? No, maybe I don't know. Do they? I don't think. Do people even use Hairspray? Let me just. Do people use Hairspray? That's something that I think doesn't exist anymore, really. Like Hairspray. He uses a leaf blower. That's right, JM. That's right. Hair gel, yeah. For sure. Aquanet, yes. I remember Aquanet, yep. The 80s. This is an 80s thing. 90s was more, I think, mousse gel. The gel, right? So let's look at Yahoo News. Bob Woodward warns Donald Trump wants to be president again for one worrying reason. Oh my God. And the answer is to be Donald Trump. What is this? This has now become like this weird philosophy, this cult philosophy for them. What? I thought there was a reason. What? Woodward brought up the question of what Trump would want to do if he were back in. Oh, I don't know. Maybe record low unemployment, little things like the Doha Agreement that Biden messed up, and all these other wonderful things. Allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Notice how Biden isn't focusing on any of those issues. Gee, wonder why. And the answer is to be Donald Trump. And that's not an agenda. That does not connect to the needs of the people of the country. Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yes, it does. In many ways. Economically, foreign policy, and in many ways. So, oh my God, it's the same thing. Oh, wow. I'm going to do a segment on this. Donald Trump sues New York Times and his niece over tax story. His niece is like the niece from you-know-where. Every day, Trump's niece. It just he wants, you know what? He's a Martian. He's this, he's that. It's like, oh my God. I'm going to do a segment on this. Yes, Roz Rodriguez, yes. I am. Wow, Trump sues. I will do a live stream on this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do a live stream on this at around 10:30 tonight. 10:30, 11 tonight. Wow. That is an interesting... That is interesting. Let's read that. The ex-president claims there was an insidious plot to obtain confidential and highly sensitive records. That's true. See, again, if you're Mary Trump, do you now if you have engaged in any illegal behavior, Trump's going to find out. So, wow, the suit demands damages in an amount to be determined at trial, but believed to be no less than $100 million. Wow. For both Mary Trump and the Times. Wow. $100 million. Yeah, I agree with you, Diane. I agree with you. Every day it's something like... This is also the thing, like Democrats, morally superior liberals, they get so happy when somebody doesn't like Trump, who happens to be like a family member, or it's like, well, but nobody cares, though. That's the thing. Like, so what if Mitt Romney or Mary Trump don't like Trump? Who cares? If Kinzinger's like, this Republican Party has to go back to, it's like, nobody cares about that. 2022 can't come fast enough. This is interesting. You know what? This is interesting. $100 million. $100 million. Wow, let's see. Oh, dang it. Lord. Oh, wait. Why did I do this? No. Okay. Okay, it locked me out, but no. Former President Donald Trump has filed a lawsuit against the New York Times, 3 of its reporters, and his niece. Wow. Claiming they hatched an insidious plot to obtain his private records for a story about his tax history. The lawsuit, which was filed Tuesday, alleges that the newspaper convinced Mary Trump to smuggle, records out of her attorney's office and turn them over to the Times, despite her having signed a confidentiality agreement. That's not good. The suit demands damages in an amount to be determined at trial, but believed to be no less than $100 million. That's the thing. Like, what did you think was going to happen? And there's no love for Mary Trump among Democrats. They just utilize people as foils. They say, oh, well, you know what? Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Well, Times reporters, who won the Pulitzer for, they always won the Pulitzer, yeah. The suit cites Mary Trump's interview with the Daily Beast podcast. You were ultimately the source for the tax story. And then Mary Trump, I'm actually really proud of that. Okay, you could tell that in the deposition. But I have to be honest with you, I didn't even remember I had the confidential records. It's entirely down to the brilliant who reminded me that I had them. Oh my God, she admits this. I think he's a loser, and he's going to throw away. Okay, so, oh my God. Oh my God. So the walls are closing in, and the Times did not immediately respond to a request. This is a developing story. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is nuts. I'm telling you, this is the thing when you're drunk off of contempt. When you're drunk off of contempt. Oh my God. John, hello. They're demon grass. When you're drunk off of contempt, okay? C. Revis, thank you again. Lisa Lister, thank you so very, very much. The Secret Spaceship, everybody here. When you are drunk off of contempt, and that's all you do is fabricate and try everything possible to, you try everything possible to harm somebody. It's going to come back to you. The karma is going to come back to you. That's why, like, anybody who's, like, tried to hurt me in this media game, whatever, I'm like the little frog, like those little poisonous frogs that the snake tries to devour, and they're like, oh, forget about it. Like, I'm very happy to stay in my lane, or if I must defend myself, but, like, I don't obsess over anybody. I will never talk about another YouTuber unless it's to give them praise. And if I do defend myself like I used to years back, the people trying to go after me diss themselves along the way. And so it's like it's a very bad thing to try to tear someone else down, because you're going to end up tearing yourself down. Especially when you have skeletons in your closet. And Mary Trump is yet again, Andrew Cuomo is going to call her up. I know how you feel. I know how you feel, Mary. By the way, what are you doing later? Click. This is unbelievable. You were the source for the tax story. And her Daily Beast interview. That's why when the Daily Beast wrote a hit piece on me, and this one person, who shall remain nameless, pitched a story and then wrote a completely unethical hit piece, riddled with numerous inaccuracies, just because I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. That's it. Literally, that's it. He couldn't stand that I was a Bernie. He thought it was like the most horrible thing that I wouldn't vote Democrat, and that, and he tried to like paint Bernie supporters as violent and all of that, whatever. And so I was like, there's no way I'm going to talk to anyone at that publication, ever. Ever. The Washington Post reached out to me. I didn't talk to them. Because I know that if media wants to interview you, generally, let's say like you have a voice on a particular viewpoint that perhaps the mainstream doesn't like. So when I was on the left, I was like I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. The unofficial scribe of Sanders was the most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. That was a description of me in the Washington Post. But there were people who reached out to me for interviews. I knew what the goal was. The goal was to disparage me or twist any of my words. So I didn't ever, the Huffington Post, yes, that was different because I had a good relationship with them at that time. Very good relationship. But I was never utilized by anybody. I just had my own thoughts and then tried to, at that point in time, now I have a different viewpoint and philosophy on things because I realized what the left is about. But if you're being propped up, it could be, you're wrong, Senator Rand. And I wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post. Read the article. The article will be below. They jettison everybody. It doesn't ever work. If you are being championed by the Democratic Party, watch out. Exactly, John. If you're being championed by the Democratic Party, watch out. You do not want to be Mary Trump, or you're wrong, Senator Rand, or Andrew Cuomo, or Michael Avenatti, or Eric Schneiderman. You don't want to be, or Juicy Smollett. You don't want to be these people. They will prop you up, utilize you, interview you to where they'll either twist your words or actually your words will be used in a court of law against you. Okay? It's like the musical artists sometimes. They're like, oh, yeah, I did this and that during the interview. It's like, no, you can't. You don't say that because the interviewer doesn't care. He just wants, wow. Wow. Tedrob, hello. Wow, this is unbelievable. Oh my God. This is a huge, huge, huge story, ladies and gentlemen. Give me your thoughts below. I'm going to head on out. I'll be back at around 10:30. Wow. Wow. Thank you so very much to my super chat. I can't thank you all enough. I can't do this without you. And ladies and gentlemen, you're so wonderful. Everybody, Ian, Secret Spaceship, Lisa Lister, Diane, everybody here. The Roz, everybody here. Thank you. C. Revis, everybody. Thank you so very much. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll talk about this tonight. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. Lisa, the Secret Spaceship, Malali, Conrad, Jordan, Diane, Ian, Valerie, Roz Rodriguez, thank you, everybody. Lisa Lister, thank you again. Wow. Mad Calmark, hello. Wow. All right, be here, people, 10:30 tonight. Be here. This is a huge, huge, huge story. Thanks, everybody. Thank you to my super chat. I can't thank you enough. Eric and Luke. Thank you so very, very much. Be here, everyone, 10:30.